then shawty do for self. But one thing I know, I won't below the belt. Can I have what's in those jeans? Yeah. Is it savage fancy? Oh, it's made by Fendi, can I know? Yeah, I gotta know.
What's up, everybody? It's your man's Ray-Bans, that nerd from the burbs, man. We back with another edition, something exclusive that we do, keep the people, excited about our vibes and our lane, you know what I mean? But y'all make sure y'all keep yourselves abreast. We got a special guest, man, here to talk about some things that involve justice system. Maybe criminals, maybe prosecutors, maybe judges. I don't know, but it's going to be exciting to find out what we need to know. So y'all keep it locked, man. It's your man's Ray-Bans. We'll be right back.
But when you walk away, it's those jeans I see. Could you tell me? Could you tell me? Could you tell me? Could you tell me? Shawty, could you tell me? Shawty, could you tell me? What's in those jeans? Is it made by Pink? Oh, it's Savage Fendi. Maybe it's Fashion Nova. Oh, it's made by Fendi. Oh, that Gucci Louis. I know you got that Prada. I know you love Chanel. What's in those jeans? Is it made by Pink? Oh, it's Savage Fendi. Maybe it's Fashion Nova. Oh, it's made by Fendi. Oh, that Gucci Louis. I know you got that Prada.
What's up, everybody? It's your man's Ray-Bans, that nerd from the bird. I turn my stuff off just like that. Anywho, today is a special day. It's the top of the week. It's the time when people collect themselves and their thoughts, sit at home and try not to do nothing. But some of us get outside. Today, we got a guest who's made their way over here to the special zone that we have, and they actually have quite a bit of a story, quite a bit of an experience, and quite a bit of a background. They're just an all-around interesting individual. So we like to take our time to discover other people's excitement. And today, we have Detroit's very own.
I am my Detroit lawyer.
What? Y'all hear that? We got Miss My Detroit lawyer in this thing. If you guys haven't already, you know what to do. Get over to Instagram, tap in with us, hit the like button on anything that we post. That helps us all the ways. And also follow us. You can definitely reach out for more of us on OurWAY Radio. That's on the gram too. And you can also tap in with us via online. OWRadio247.com is where you can get more abreast of news and updates and things that we do and around in the communities. You can also visit OWTV Plus. That's where you learn about how kind of quality of our services that we offer, what they about. You can also get booked on one of these sets like this through there. So without further ado, let's get into the things that we like to do best, and that's get to know people who sit on the couch. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm better. I've been stressfully working myself today, but it's all for the goodness of the goodness. And I'm now here and I'm sitting before such a queen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. If you could do us a big solid, favor and just introduce yourself to our this microphone thing. Sorry, y'all. Just do us a favor and introduce yourself to our audience, please.
All right. So, what up, everybody? My name is Purna. I go by My Detroit Lawyer. I am your favorite lawyer's favorite lawyer, your criminal defense attorney for Detroit.
Criminal defense attorney for Detroit.
That's right.
So, how'd you end up discovering the things we do out here and in the zone talk stuff?
So Chino.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
guy's familiar with everybody, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
He's familiar to me as well, I guess. So he basically just reached out and made me aware of what was going on over here. So I hopped on a podcast.
You hopped on a podcast. All right. What do you think about these type of podcasts?
I like them. I mean, I guess they give people an opportunity to hear about things going on in the city. I don't know if you do things for outside of Michigan, so I'm not sure about that,
Yep,
but at least
for
the purpose. Okay. Well, for the purpose of podcasts, what I like about them is people get an opportunity to learn about things I guess they wouldn't necessarily tune into unless they're tuning into the podcast. So gives them some flavor and variety.
I like that. Podcasting helps for anybody who's just out the loop and they can get in the loop in their own time. sometimes these things help to bring awareness, and they also tear people apart.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, people get into a jam with these things. But Miss Purna, did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Trying to make sure it's solid, y'all. Y'all gotta make sure. All right, so you're a criminal defense attorney for Detroit. All right, so you look like you're too young to be doing that.
I am not. I am almost 40 years old.
Almost, wow.
I mean, I'm 38, so I'm almost 40. So, yeah, no, I'm not young by any means.
Very mature.
Yeah.
Tell us though, you have sort of like a accent going on.
Do I?
It's kind of like, I don't know, where are you from?
So I'm from Detroit. My parents are from India, though. So my parents,
that's where it's at, y'all.
yeah,
She's
my
from
parents
India.
were born and raised in India, but then they moved to Toronto. Had my brother in Toronto. Then they moved to Detroit, and I was born in Detroit. So
what part of the city?
I was born right on 8 Mile and Lasser area.
Oh, West Side.
West Side.
I got some kinfolk over there.
Yeah, I still live on the West Side, so I'm still a West Side.
Did you go to Southfield?
No, I did not.
What?
No.
You was that close to it and said, forget them, huh?
No, I did not. My parents moved around a lot. So in high school, I went to high school in Kalamazoo, actually. I did not go to high school in the Detroit area. But,
So,
yeah.
how long you been in the city?
I've been back in the city ever since 2004.
2004.
Yeah. So I
That
went
was
to...
the time. That was before... No, that was when we started having the president, Obama. 04, 08,
2004? Yeah, 2004 was when I moved back to the city.
Okay.
So
It's a different city than it is now, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Big
For sure.
difference, huh?
For sure. It's completely different. It's gentrified now.
That's a strong word to use, man.
It's a strong word?
It's a very strong
Or it's
word.
a proper word?
I guess that's a strong,
No, it's
strong, proper word. So let's talk about gentrification then, since we're on the subject of it.
Okay.
I've noticed the amount of changes on the east side of town. You're on the west side. Do you have any knowledge of the east like that?
Not really. For me, I really just see it downtown.
The downtown. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's east side.
I haven't really seen it a lot on the west side. I mean, it could be there, but I haven't really seen much of it.
Do you think there's a difference between the east and the west and the determination to decide to gentrify a side of town? Like, downtown is downtown, but when you, what is it? It's west side downtown over there by, what is it? On the other side of Gratiot. The other side of Gratiot. Because it all comes down to that point. And then over that, Randolph going that way, that becomes the west side and all the way out.
So the downtown area, I feel like, is completely gentrified, whether it's the east side of it or the west side of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If that's fair to say. But then if you are looking at the opposite sides of, what would it be? 375 or 75? No,
Yeah.
because that's still going to be, depending on what we're talking about, because then there's Midtown down there, like 94 and 75, which is also totally gentrified now. Like the Wayne State area is Midtown, and that's completely different than when I went to Wayne State. That looks like a whole different campus whenever I pass through there.
I dig that on that because it definitely, it's catering to, the type of students they want there. So, you got to provide them with a lane to be, safe and not look run down. So
They
you got to
didn't provide
change.
me with one. Shit.
Well, you were the experiment.
Damn.
And now they figured it out.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. All right.
Right. So you've landed into the city. You come out the city. You come back to the city. You've garnered your education. That's what it sounds like. It sounds that you don't seem like a tone from. You don't sound like you have a background in education in the city. Did you attend any schools here at all?
When I was super young.
Super young.
Like kindergarten, first grade type.
Dig that.
By the time I was in second grade, I wasn't even here anymore.
How do you feel about Michigan in itself as a whole?
So Michigan is cool as a whole. I mean, I've moved to other states too. Like,
you said California, you were there?
No. My brother lived in Cali, not
that
me.
was the other conversation.
Yeah, no. I lived in Iowa for like a year of my life.
Iowa.
Yup.
I sound like ain't nothing going on in Iowa.
There's nothing going on there. So we moved from Detroit to Iowa, which was crazy because
big difference.
Yeah, like it was cool when I was like that young because I got to do whatever the fuck I wanted because my parents were like, "There's nothing here. Like you're not probably gonna get kidnapped." So like
everybody here knows somebody.
Well, there's like literally nobody here. Which if I look back on that now, that probably actually makes it a little scarier because like there's like a bunch of back then. I don't know what I haven't been there ever since I left there, and we were there for like a year. But it was a bunch of like cornfields and just like what I perceive as scary shit. But as a kid who left Detroit, where I couldn't even get off the side of the street without my mom being like, "You got to be watched all the time." And then you move to Iowa as a kid, and then my mom's like, "Do whatever the fuck you want. Like ride your bike, go wherever you want." But I feel like if I had kids, I would not be okay with them riding through like a cornfield ass area. That would scare the fuck out of me.
Well, everybody isn't diabolical back then, I should say.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah.
It's a lot of stranger danger out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from there, we moved to Pittsburgh. So I lived in Pittsburgh for a while. And then Pittsburgh was whatever. I mean, I guess I kind of...
one good time.
You said what?
I said I've been through Pittsburgh one good time.
Yeah, I lived there for a while. Like, I guess as a kid, everything is kind of okay because you can't really do shit as a kid anyway, right? Like, you got to just do whatever
you're told.
Exactly. So without freedom, everything is just all right, I guess. I don't really have an opinion. Like, Iowa was all right. I wouldn't want to live there now. Pittsburgh was all right. I wouldn't want to live there now. And then from there, we moved back. So from Pennsylvania, we moved back to Michigan, and then I've been in Michigan ever since. So in my opinion, Michigan is the best of those three states, like of Iowa, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. I would pick Michigan because I think it's the most diverse. So
I guess I wouldn't know. I mean, I've seen the Pittsburgh, but I didn't hit the town. I wouldn't know the type of people that reside in that city. So you've got a lot of travel in you, that's for sure. Do you think that background and being, exposed to all these different towns and cities, does that help you in the career path that you've chosen?
I'm sure. I think that any experience, like as long as the more experience you have, the more it's going to help you with anything in life, whether it's your career path or just learning how to understand people. Navigating through people is like the biggest experience that you can have in life, right? You got to, unless we're living through some like apocalypse time or something, then.
I spend my time in the younger days talking to 300 people a day. So it makes
well,
it
then,
easy.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about then.
A good year of that will do anybody right.
Right.
All right. Check it out, folks. We're going to give Miss Purna.
There you go. You got it.
Okay, I am getting better, folks.
Yeah.
We're going to give her a second to breathe. Take a little woosah here. We are kicking it in this thing, man. Shout out to Trusty Yo, Big Scoop, and also my guy, the number one agent on the squad, Mr. Chino. We'll be right back, man. Y'all keep it locked. It's your man's Ray Bans, that nerd from the bird.
With a thick red bone, with my feet in the sand. Told her bitch lay on her stomach, let them cheeks get a tan. Got the Louis V holster, match the Louis V belt. Bag in like Kroger's, get it straight off the shelf. I don't even need a team, I do it all by myself. It's either win, die, or lose, or be stuck in the cell. I'm Mr. 30 Man. Yeah. I'm Mr. 30 Man. 30 Man. Yeah. I'm Mr. 30 Man. 30 Man. 30. I'm Mr. 30 Man. 30 Man. 30.
Oh my gosh, everybody. We're back in the building. Here to express ourselves. Definitely here to be on time with what we do. Making the groove of things sound very groovy, It's a day for us to woosah and relax. It's Sunday. And Zone Talk Sundays is be always fire. In the building, man, we have the beautiful My Detroit Lawyer in the set, kind of opening up everybody to the understanding of who she is and what she has going on. How you doing over there?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. So we were talking, just getting to know you. Our audience is very, we don't know nothing about you.
Fair,
right? Being who you are, and what it is that you do, help us understand the purpose of you as, in a sense, the criminal defense. I want all of our young people who don't know, enough about what it is that they're doing, and who they're going to have to deal with or have to have on their side should things happen in their lives. So for a lame person who doesn't get it, children and young people who aren't aware, explain to us what is a criminal defense attorney.
So a criminal defense attorney is the person that you hire when you find yourself having to deal with the police, for the most part. Actually, for all parts. You get a speeding ticket, you catch a home invasion, you catch a body, you catch a lot of different things that you probably didn't do. Let's start with that part because that's very important. But yeah, I mean, we're the people that you hire to help you navigate the justice system because it's not just. So you open up to us, you tell us what happened, and we try to get you basically out of your shit or get it as close to out of as possible. We look at the facts. We dissect them. We reorganize them according to what is going to be the best outcome for you and what really happened. Because a lot of times, this system looks at A, B, and C, and then they'll just start talking about X, Y, and Z, where that's not, and then people end up in jail and prison based off of the fact that prosecutors and detectives don't know how to do their jobs well. And generally, there is a stigma about poor detective work, which is a correct stigma. They generally jump to conclusions. So I like to think about my job as slowing everything down after an investigation has been done. We slow it down and we look at, well, why wasn't this done? Why wasn't that done? What was the processes that were skipped? And if everything was done the way it should have been done, could there have been a different outcome? Should someone else have even been looked at for it? I mean, there's like so many. That's a very open-ended question. I don't even know if I gave a good answer. Okay,
You did. The thing about it is, I want people to hear the person. Hold on. Don't judge me, people. I got shit I gotta do. I want people to understand that it takes a person to understand the path, because just like you went into this field, there might be someone else that is interested, or they might find a reason to get in. So your perception of, might come over to somebody as, that's exactly why I want to get involved, because I want to be those type of people that get calls, that help people out of their jams or whatnot. Yeah. I don't know. But what made you decide that route? There's a lot of attorneys to be types of attorneys. So like, why criminal?
So I chose to do criminal defense because when I was in law school, I actually ended up getting arrested a couple times.
What?
Yeah. So I ended up going through the process, and with me going through it, I saw how things can get fucked up. And of course, I had a lot of friends. Am I allowed to swear on this?
It's all your world, babe.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
And I also had a lot of friends, obviously, that, well, not obviously, but I had a lot of friends that caught their own cases, right? So we would always just be sitting there talking about what's going on with their case, this and that, what's going on with my case, and realizing, having the realization moment of, damn, this is happening to so many people. Like, and so many people are getting like the shit end of the stick. Like, no one is being heard fully. Facts are not being brought to light the way that they should be. It just made me want to pursue this path and be like, hey, I hopefully can do something to make an impact, because when people get into the system, it's very hard to get out of the system. That's first and foremost. And also, when you are in the system, or when you've gotten hit with some charges, quite frankly, that's like the worst time of someone's life.
Why do they always have to trump up the charges, man?
Because because they know, in my opinion, 9 times out of 10 in the beginning, they know that they don't have enough to make what they're actually trying to get you with stick. So they're like, let's just throw everything at the wall, and then let's see if we can get you for anything else then. So it's misconduct.
Then it becomes your job to determine which one of these offenses that this person truly has. So when you deal with your clients, are your clients very, very truthful to you in the beginning of that?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Usually I've had completely different ends of the spectrum, and then I've had people that have been in the middle. So completely different ends of the spectrum is, for instance, someone from the very beginning, they'll hire me, they'll be like, look, I didn't do anything, da 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 da, and despite the evidence that's coming in, they'll maintain that position to the very end. And my conversation with them then becomes like, I can't help you if you don't keep it real with me. Like, if you're not going to tell me anything, you're sending me to war with no bullets in my gun, no ammo on me. Like, what do you want me to do at that point? Then I have people on the opposite end of the spectrum where before they even hired me, they decided to start talking to police and they decided to start doing something, which is like, you're not supposed to do that either. Like, don't do that at all, because now you just got yourself in a situation where what are we using as a defense now? Like, you just sat there and said everything that happened.
But that's what they want, right? They want to essentially get everything out of there before you get in the mix up, or them having you as a representative. They want to try to get it all out of you as best they can, right? The police don't have no need to use a lawyer or support you in your defense. They want to give it all and put it all on you.
But it's not about what the police are doing. It's about what the client is doing. And it never behooves you to sit there and talk to the police. That is not ever going to help you.
But why did they, is it fair to say too many people are, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, they believe in the TV shows and think that that's how this world is operating it?
I don't know if it's that as much as it's when you're sitting there in the hot seat and you're being interrogated. I think the only thing on people's mind is like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. I want to go home. Like, I don't even want to talk to these people anymore. So, and the police will sit there and lie to you, right? They'll sit right in your face, look you dead in your eyes, and they'll lie to you and be like, if you tell us this or tell us that, you can go home. You can walk right out this door as soon as you tell us what we need to hear. That's never going to happen. But people buy into that and they're nervous, they're scared, they're uninterested. So that's how false confessions come about too, all the time, right? Someone will say they did something because they'll keep you in there for 9, 10, 11 hours, even more.
No food, like,
yeah, and they'll
wearing you out.
Yeah, they'll try to just get you to talk about things. So, and then those are the people that it's kind of like whatever. But then there's people in the middle where when they hire me, they'll start with a bullshit story, and I'll be like, okay. Take it for what it is. And then as they get to know me more and as I'm presenting them with, all right, well, this is what they're saying. This kind of makes sense based off of this. This can't be true based off of this. Then people will start opening up more and being like, okay, well, this is actually like, all right, this kind of happened and that kind of happened. So as they get to know me and as that level of trust kind of builds, then there are some people that tend to open up more.
I think it's a scary moment no matter who you are. So I agree with you if you get nervous. But then you have the balls down and hit your 10 toes to the floor and say to yourself, what do they really have on me?
Right. And there's some people in the beginning, like, so there's some people that straight off the bat will be very truthful with me, very honest with me. And that's the best thing to do. Be truthful and honest with your attorney. Don't be that with anybody else. Just do that with your attorney. But yeah, like, we'll find out what they really have on you, because if they have anything, they're going to present it to us, because that's what they have to do. That's the rules of discovery.
Discovery, all this engagement. I think it's a forgotten art of understanding how the proceedings go. What's your take on people who I've just recently watched? Because there's some stuff I see too, kind judges and mean judges. But there's a particular stance that people have been taking, and I don't know if this is something you even lightly talk about or speak on. But there's been a lot of people that are coming out and they're speaking and. They're trying to speak in their straw man and they're representing themselves in the courts. And so a lot of them are coming with all of this and that and the third about, whether or not that courts have jurisdiction.
Sovereign citizen
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, help us understand, if you could, the value of even trying to go that route, or, are we setting ourselves up for stupid errors and misinformed information? And like, how does one look as a sovereign citizen talking in the court of law?
I have only seen one person that I would consider be successful in representing themselves as a sovereign citizen in court. And I was like, wow, damn, you did a good job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right, I was shocked. I was shit. Like, because it was not anyone I knew. I was sitting there waiting on my own case. And this case had been proceeding for quite a bit of time. So I was sitting there watching this, and the guy did a pretty good job, and the judge ended up taking a break at one point, and I actually approached him and was like, because they were in the middle of a trial, and this guy was like doing a cross-examination of like a police officer on the stand, and he was doing pretty good for not knowing what he was doing.
Not a actual inmate. Or
no, he was representing himself, so he had like a little suit on, and he was in there like doing his thing, and he was cross-examining, and it was, when I say it was pretty good, like for not knowing what you're doing and for to have, I would assume, never done this before, like I was like, okay, like that's okay. I didn't know if it was going to be effective on the jury or not, so on break I kind of went up to him and was like, hey, gave him a couple pointers, just like, not that I know everything in the world, but I was just like, based on what I saw, you know, I think if you ask the questions like this and try to hit on this a little bit more, you might be a little more effective. So he tried that, and then I was kind of like watching the jury to see like how they were trying to read the jury to see.
Is the sovereign person, is it because of they you know, the dialogue that they're using, the words that make them unbelievable with this, or is it like, because I know they got some truth behind some of this, but...
Yeah, no, and well, the whole sovereign thing in general, I don't know a lot about it, like, you know what I mean, like I have no idea, but these are people that like really research whatever, but
it seemed to never work for them.
Yeah, so sometimes it doesn't, like for instance with this one dude, right, like he was struggling, he was okay, but he was struggling a lot because if you don't know how to ask the questions, and if you don't know, you know what you're trying to extract, you don't know how to do it, he's getting objected to every like third word he's saying, right? Like the prosecutor is standing up and being like, objection, and the judge is giving her all her objections, like sustaining to everything. So he doesn't even understand that sustain means he can't continue that question. So he's like, keeping on trying to go down that path. And so the judge is getting irritated with him. He's getting irritated with the prosecutor. Ultimately, he ended up winning his case, which I was like, it's fantastic. But I don't know if it was that the jury was like watching this and just being like, yo, like they trying to railroad my man's over here. Like, what's going on? Like, he can't get a question out.
Can't get nothing off.
Yeah, so
himself, no way.
Maybe they felt bad for him. I don't know, but he actually did pretty okay, where I was like, I've seen other people do it and it's been a complete, aside from this one particular person, anyone else I've ever seen do that, it's been a disaster, where I was like, oh.
Yeah, like it seemed like the people that's learning it are picking it up from learning in a cell, and they, you know, heard a thing or two, and then they be fumbling over these words and shit, and that's when they started looking to the person or the judge. They're like, look, I can't stand for idiocy, nigga. They get out of here, you know, and they just rumble out the stuff.
And sometimes some of the concepts that they come into court with are so abstract, where it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me sitting there like as a, I guess, non-sovereign person. I have no idea, but I sit there and listen to some of their logic and I'm like, that's not how that works. Like that doesn't work like that. Like that's not real.
I smell you. Well, for those who trying to figure out a way, you know, if you in there, you know, I can only imagine you're gonna figure out any type of form or whatever you can, you know, especially if you can't afford it or you know, feel that you know about yourself better. But in watching and then having a need for an attorney, I guess people, you know, I'm going into the next thing I want to ask you, but, you know, if you don't have it, man, you cannot really get the best person that you really want to do something that you need. But your life is on the line, and you want to ask yourself, why did you put yourself in this position? And you can't even afford to get out of it.
That's when you got to just go court appointed, though. Like, just do that and just... Everybody has this theory that court-appointed attorneys are like the worst attorneys in the world. That is not true. Like, that is just not true. Like, even some of the best, like myself and even like some of the best attorneys that I know, they're on the court-appointed list because they just believe, or I would like to think that they believe like I do. Like, I think that everybody does deserve a good defense, whether they can afford it or not. It's not always like easy in the sense of it's not always beneficial to us because, I mean, when we have a client that is paying us and we're directly working with them, there's a little bit more seriousness that the client even takes because they're paying you. So they're like, all right, like, I trust you. This is why I'm giving you this money. Like, do this.
Right.
When you're court appointed to people's cases, sometimes, not all the time, there's a little bit more pushback. Like, there's that difference of opinion where they think that they know better than you and da-da-da. Like, no, you don't get to be captain of the ship. You don't get to be that, whether you hire me or whether I'm appointed to your case. That is not what happens. I am the captain. You get to sit on the boat. Like, you can play co-captain sometimes, but for the most part, you sit here and we have discussions back and forth. Like, you can navigate us like, do you want to do this or no? But if you say yes, we're going down the path that I choose with the yes. If you say no, we're going down the path I choose for the no. Like, you don't get to tell me how to do my job. That takes away from the effectiveness of me doing my job.
But in fair sense, though, I mean, you know, lady, you're not in here dealing with the fact that they're about to give you these charges and these time frames. And I'm sitting here like, look, it doesn't look like you're helping me here. What the fuck, man? Can we get something better going? Do you really know what you... Like, I guess if you're paying for that, you felt like you paid the part of the education off or something like, shit, all right, this should cover the part of the learning you supposed to win on this one. So I'm paying you well. But if I'm court appointed, it almost feels like you get the people who don't just, you know, they part of the just push along.
So that is like the going, like, yeah, that everybody thinks, right? Like that's just like that story that's out there. But again, like, I feel like clients get if I get court appointed to your case, you get lucky because you got someone that actually cares. I'm going to sit down with you. I'm going to go over things with you. I'm going to tell you why I feel like my angle is the best angle. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to be like, tell me why you think that I'm wrong, or tell me what you think is a better angle. And if you just give me some like absolutely crazy something that doesn't make sense, I'm going to be like, no, let me tell you why that doesn't make sense. Let me tell you why we're not doing that. We're not doing that because that's not going to get us anywhere. The bottom line is to get you out of jail, get you out of here. Or if there's absolutely no way to do that, we have to get this down to the smallest amount that we can get it to. So that's my goal, and that should be your goal, whether you've hired me or whether I've been appointed. So you got to trust that because I do this day in and out, I'm going to be able to get you there better than you can.
I feel that, man. You got to understand, you got to believe in somebody, man. You believe in the person who's paid to learn and has completed the task. And the attorney, rather talk to them, I'm not attorney, but the judge, he don't want to talk to you. He going to want to talk to her or the other attorneys or prosecutors. So we definitely understand there's a need for you to get out the way and let these people do their job since you put yourself there.
Absolutely.
Just facts. But we're going to take a little breather here. We got Miss Purna. Don't judge me, Miss. I want to say it so well. I need to write that shit. I did?
Purna.
Damn.
Yeah.
Y'all going to love me for this. Y'all going to remember her name now, too. And when you're in a situation in the bind, you already know that's my Detroit lawyer.
Period.
We'll be right back, man. It's your man's Ray Band, that nerd from the Burg.
Oh yeah, just because you need love, I'ma show it with no fuss. It don't matter just because, yeah. Just because you need love, I'ma show it with no fuss. It don't matter just because, yeah. Just because it's a Thursday night, I'ma get you flowers, I'ma treat you right. I'm just hoping you get off at a decent hour, so I can run your shower. Kinda lights, no power. Know you been worried about them bills, but this your day off. All your stress gon' be gone, hard work gon' pay off. You can complain about your day, I'm here for you. You can tell me what is wrong, I'ma listen to. Know you put them 40 hours, 50 hours, it don't matter. I'ma pamper you, I'ma pamper you. Say I love you, screaming louder. Affirmations make you prouder. I'ma pamper you, I'm a fan of you. Oh yeah, just because you need love, I'ma show it with no fuss. It don't matter just because, yeah. Just because you need love, I'ma show it with no fuss. It don't matter just because, yeah. Oh yeah, just because you need love, I'ma show it with no fuss. It don't matter just because.
It's called being in control. It's called alpha female. I would consider you one. Yeah.
Appreciate that. I'll take it as a compliment.
Y'all hear that alpha female status? Definitely have to be able to stand up to the powers that be.
So,
you know.
Can you hear me?
Not like I should, Mr. Chino.
Hey guys, it's Chino, by the way. You know what I'm
Before we get everybody back acquainted to the streets and what we got going on here, it's your man's Red Bands that Nerd from the Burberry. Welcome back to the Zone Talk exclusive that we got going on. We over here with Miss Purna.
What up, though?
There she go. MyDetroitLawyer.com at that. So if you need to be found, find her, I should say. She can be definitely reached from MyDetroitLawyer.com.
Yes.
Awesome. See how cold I am, baby? Yeah.
That's right.
Chino's stepping on this mic, you know what I mean? You might not see him, but you can definitely hear him. And because of that, we take his opinions valued. We value his opinions, I say.
Well, I thank you for that. My question is, since we were talking about being an alpha female,
Right.
two-part question, but it's one.
Okay.
Is being an alpha female, do you or did you get like kickback from like being one female and then two being black and brown? Like, how was that? I don't want to say, was it a struggle to come out? And then you can say, no, it wasn't. So how was that coming to being a lawyer?
It definitely plays a part because most lawyers are white men. That's the majority of what you see in a courtroom. It's actually funny you asked that question. The other day I was sitting in a courtroom. I can't even remember where I was. I think I was in Oakland County or something like that. I think I was in Oakland County Circuit Court, and I was sitting there waiting on the case to be called. And I was actually sitting on the bench where like everyone who's not a lawyer sits. I was sitting behind the bar because all those seats were taken. And it was like 12 people, and it was 12 old white men sitting there. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I was like, that's the general population of what we see in a courtroom. So it plays a role for sure. But, being a woman has a thing where even at first when you walk into a courtroom, depending on what judges you get, if you have male judges, older male judges, they generally can start by feeling away. Sometimes they'll continue to feel that way, sometimes not. And then, of course, being a woman of color, that has its own impact also because, I mean, let's face it, the climate that we live in is such that we don't get as much sincerity or seriousness as we should by having accomplished the things that we have. It's just not given that same level of acceptance that it would be if you were a white man. That's just kind of the reality of the world that we live in. So yeah, you got to fight a little bit harder. You got to go a little bit more. You got to just do a little bit extra. But I think because that's not new to any of us, like we kind of expect that that's what we got to do when we show up for work. Like, I think we all know that.
Well, with consideration to it, we've all fought to a degree where, you wanted to be there, right?
Period.
That's all that is.
Period.
So that's the struggles that we all know the powers to be.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it balances the opportunities of justice.
Say that again. Balance is the opportunity of justice.
No, having a woman like you in your position.
It balances the opportunity. Yes, I would
Right.
agree with that. Sorry. Yeah.
So I have to, question whether or not, the caliber of casing you've been doing. How long you been doing this again now?
6 years.
6 years. In your time and tenure in this, from, being a rookie to now a vet, and when it comes to the cases, off camera, we were talking about, do you kind of keep track? Do you keep tabs on this?
So I don't keep tabs on like what I've won, what I've lost. I have no idea. And it's crazy that I don't, because every single time someone calls me, that's a question that everybody always wants the answer to when they want to hire someone, right?
Hell yeah. What's your record?
Yeah. But the reality is I have no idea. I have no idea even how many cases I've done in totality in 6 years. I know that I've won more than I've lost, but I don't know what that number looks like. But I have lost. Like, that just comes with the nature of the beast. So I can't sit here and be like, hands down, never lost anything. Like, no, I have. I definitely have.
I know it can kind of feel, it's like anything, it has to be a winner, it has to be a loser to this,
Yeah.
But you have people's lives in your hand in that case. What's the, I guess it's being a bit more negative than anything, but I was going to ask you, what's the most time somebody's ever gotten for a case that you lost?
Life, no possibility of parole. And
that
that
was like a hard,
killed me.
Oh,
Like that killed me. Like that was, and it was the first ever murder trial that I did on my own. I did it on my own. I was not second chairing. I did not have anyone second chairing with me. Like I did it completely on my own, and we lost. And that actually is a case, I've spoken about it before, but that was a case that it took 3 years to come to fruition. And when it did, after the jury verdict came out, I felt like everything was going unfairly. At the point in time, I was even filing motions and stuff like that. I could not figure out why nothing was being granted. And me and like the client and I would have this conversation all the time. He was like, yo, like something's not right here. Something's not right, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know, I couldn't figure out what was not right about this. Like I was doing the research. I was writing the motions. I know I was arguing them strong. Like I was like, I don't understand what's going on. And then we go to trial, and it was a very long trial. It was a 2-week trial that we went into. And at the end, the jury came back guilty. And after the jury came out guilty, the judge actually said that she was related to the deceased in the case.
The judge said that shit?
The judge put it on record that she was related to the guy.
What kind of shit is that to deal with?
And my thing
is... That's not conflict of interest or something like that? Or I don't know.
That, to me, is a conflict of interest. Like, I don't understand how that's not an immediate mistrial. And I then filed a motion for her to recuse herself, even though the verdict already came out. She put on the record, well, the jury already made their verdict, and it was a jury trial. Yeah. But the thing is, prior to this going to trial, there was motions that were filed, and you denied every single one of them. And during the trial, when the state's witnesses were taking the stand, she kept cutting into me, and she would not let me cross-examine the witnesses the way I wanted to. She would not let me direct my client the way I wanted to because he took the stand. There was so many things that took place before that trial and during that trial that had we not been looking at a significant conflict of interest like we were, for instance, you being related to the person who got killed, there is a high likelihood that all of those motions could have went differently, and the way that the trial actually proceeded would have went differently, which could have therefore changed the opinion of the jurors that sat on that jury, because the scope that they were able to look at in order to make their determination was limited, right, in my opinion, based off the fact that you're related to the guy that got killed. If you weren't related to this guy, is very likely that all the evidence that I was trying to get out and all the arguments I made prior to us going to trial would have been ruled on differently, and they would have gotten a full picture of what happened here instead of this minuscule thing to go off of to be like, oh yeah, he's guilty. Like, nah, he wasn't guilty. That's not fair. That's not true. And that was just corruption at its finest, which it happens all the time.
It happens often and enough, and now you look at today's time, or that shit happened how long ago?
That case happened in 2022, 2023, something like that.
Less than 5 years, basically.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, as much as I like to not pretend like that's the law, but
yeah.
I'm sitting here listening to you, and I can tell you right now, if I was any type of judge or anybody, just you ask a question on it, you telling me that you defending somebody that killed my peoples, I'm gonna make sure it looks like your motherfucking ass did it, and I'm gonna make sure you go to jail for the rest of your life for it. I ain't hard to be that. And then outside of that, you make that statement too, after it's over. So that brings me to thinking about the wrongful convictions that go on in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I've had personal experience in, watching a person spend a good part of 13 years of his life inside of an institution based on some things that were later found to be, not what they were, and you released on that premises of a false or a wrongful conviction. When people get off it and get to that point, is it a matter of a case like where you felt like you lost, like you did that trial, and it's that person that finally got that what do you call it? When you call it back again, what do you call it?
A mistrial?
No, the word you use when you want to rebring your case up.
An appeal?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
yeah.
for them to file an appeal like that, like a person like this, there's a certain amount of time. You said life with no parole. That's the most extreme to me.
Absolutely.
So an appeal couldn't work for a person like that.
it can.
Right. So when you finally have that, after they done had that 13-year, 10-year span of time, is when that finally can happen. Like, is this the most common part of this story here? Is that, when we send these people that we know didn't do this shit right, but we're just gonna put them in. We got to keep these things going. Do you feel like it's in that realm of that, like yo, my trial was better heard. It could have been heard right, but I'm fighting something bigger than me.
That is a huge question. I personally feel like someone's best shot is obviously at the trial stage rather than the appeal stage, because appeals, again, you have to wait so long. There's so much more to go through and go over. But of course, like, obviously, if anyone has been wrongfully convicted, like I feel like that one client of mine was, and I told him as soon as that verdict came out, I was like, man, whatever we got to do to make this come back on appeal, like, I'm going to help. I'm going to help with whatever we have to do. Like, that does not sit right with me, cannot sit right with me. And I think that is the most frustrating part of the work that I do, is that if it doesn't go right, and then we as the trial attorneys have to sit around and wait for the appellate attorney or the appellate division to start looking over things, because it's not always, even though we can assist, it doesn't always behoove us to be 9 times out of 10, we're not going to be the attorneys to actually do the appeal, right? Because there's so many things that they have to look at, that even they look at us and how we performed as trial attorneys to be able to pick that apart. Every single little thing becomes an issue when it comes to appeal.
And then you got the judge who's on that case. When appeals happen, do they call up the same judge?
Yeah, everyone has to. She's for sure getting a call when that comes back around, because
no, I ain't laughing at your case, my dude. My bad.
That's crazy. Like, that by far is one of the most boldest things I have ever heard. To this day, that's crazy.
I like to think that you have an opportunity, man, now to share your light, because we don't know what's coming on the minds of attorneys like this. I don't know how many drinks an attorney has to think about what he has to deal with, or to know that we're finna lose this shit, and this motherfucker really put his whole life on me to make this not go that route. Stressful. How does a woman in your position like that deal with a loss and then coming back into the court?
Oh my God, it is hard. I get extremely depressed. So I generally have to shut off everything. Like, I sit at home, I get seriously depressed after something like that. Like, a win is like a high that you really can't explain, but a loss is, the feeling of that loss is so much more, it's so much stronger than the feeling of even your greatest win. It's so fucking strong and powerful if you take your job seriously, and I do. Like, I sit with that.
Which part do you think is more dynamic? The part that they're going to jail, or the part that they're going to jail and you're not, for losing their case?
All of it. And then you sit there and you dissect yourself and you think about every single thing, and you're like, what about this? What if I would have done this differently? What if I would have done this differently? What if I would have said this way instead of that way? Like, I think everybody goes through that when you take that loss. You start really second guessing yourself, and you really, I take it extremely hard. Like, it is very difficult for me to come back off of something like that. And it's all the thoughts of, damn, they're going to prison. Like, they got to sit there and wait for this shit. They got to do, I'm not doing that time. Like, that's a shitty feeling.
That's what I was saying.
Like, that is a extremely shitty feeling. And it's like, this person entrusted so much in you, and you did everything that you could do. You know that you showed up in every way you can show up. You showed up, you showed out, you did the work. Like, you went crazy in this courtroom, but it still ended up the way it did. Like, that is a defeating feeling that I can't even put into good enough words to explain.
Yeah, man, I know what you're saying. She knows what she's about to say.
As an artist, I have to prepare myself.
Talk directly into that sucker. It's kind of weird.
As an artist, I have to prepare myself for a show, video, anything. Can you take us through how you prepare? Like, is it a certain coffee, music, with your dogs? Like,
Is it some way you prepare yourself to get going?
I become a mad scientist when I am preparing for a trial. I become an absolute crazy person. I hardly eat. I hardly sleep. I will have papers strewn about everywhere in my house. Like, every room I walk into will have papers here, papers there. I start creating like my trial binders, which then I'll have like one focused area for a trial binder. But if I move into this room, it might be this part of the case. Like, this might be all directs. This might be all crosses. This might be all evidence. And I'm like, I literally just become a crazy person. If I do sleep, it might be for like 20 minutes at a time, and I will like wake up out of sleep like with this crazy idea and be like, holy shit, I gotta write this down. I gotta make sure I remember this. I'm sorting through papers like a crazy person, putting it all together. And that process, depending on the nature of the case and how long the case will take to try, can take however long that takes. But then within a day or two before trial, everything will finally get out of different rooms and go into its place and be where it needs to be. And I'll start going through it. But no, there's probably no music on. There's no TV on. The dogs have to go find something for themselves to go do, because I am like in a headspace that I cannot be like, I get to not answering my phone. So if new clients are trying to call, like I can't even, like, you're going to voicemail. Like, I'm not even talking to you until this jury comes back. Like, I can't focus on anything other than the task at hand. And there's so many components to a trial for you to prepare for that you become crazy. Like, I become crazy. I don't know if every lawyer becomes crazy. I seriously become a crazy person when I'm going to trial, though.
So then what do you do to wind down?
There's no real wind down process, because when one trial ends, depending on the outcome, if it's good, you're going to party for the next couple days, and then you're going to get right back into it. If it's bad, you're going to be depressed for the next couple days, and then you got to get right back into it, because now it's somebody else's life, right? So in order for me to be effective, like, if I've won, I can't come into the next case with just an exorbitant amount of confidence. You don't want to come in overconfident. You want cautious optimism with everything you do. If I lost, I don't want to come in with that negative energy on me and then not be able to do what I need to do for the next person's life. So
That's always an understanding, man. You don't understand how the people are affected by the profession that they take. But we're gonna take a breather here real quick, man. Make sure we got everything ready to do what we do here best. Chino, I appreciate you sliding in on the set, man. It's your man's Ray Barnes at Nerd from the Bird. Shout out to Trust CEO, Big Scoop, OurWAY Media Group. You know we do what we do. We got the my Detroit lawyer here, and we're gonna keep it real copacetic, because there's a couple more things I got for you before you close up here, man. We'll be right back. It's your man's Ray Barnes at Nerd from the Bird.
You like quantum physics. You're two places in one time. You a superhero on how you did it. Yeah. You like quantum physics. You're two places in one time. Superhero, how you did it. You just living in my brain. I don't know if I'm insane. I could barely go to sleep without seeing you in my dreams. It's like I'm holding you as a prisoner in my memories every day. I can't never let you go. You serve your sins, make you stay. So tight, no lie, we just bond for life. So tight, I'm your guy, it's just fight or flight. Feel so magnetic, we can feel it when we ain't there. Anybody after you, girl, it ain't fair. I never knew it'd be forever.
What's up, man? It's your man's Ray Barnes, that nerd from the burbs. I hope y'all still hanging on with us, man. We got Purna, my Detroit lawyer, in the building, man, giving us a lot of information, man, sourcing us to, the content that we need to be aware of, and as well educating us on the side of things that most of y'all probably have no clue about, the other side of life, the side that involves, the aftermath of a legal proceeding to the successful path after a legal proceeding. It takes a strong individual to determine that they want to combine what they know what they love, and then what they've learned. And some of us learn how to, uh, fall in line. And then there's some of us that learn how to draw the line, and make a point of change. So listening to our guest, Miss Purna, you seem to have yourself a strong sense of what's going on. And then from that, it looks like you've been, adamant about drawing the line and trying to put it right on right. And, in 6 years of you being in this path, where would you say your career is at?
I would say I'm still learning. I mean, they call it a practice for a reason, right? You're practicing law. So there's always room for growth.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah, like there's always room for growth, right? Like I don't know shit in comparison to someone who's been doing this since 1986. I know attorneys that have been practicing forever, right? Like as long as I've been alive, they've been out here doing this. Yeah. And those are, to this day, like some of my best mentors are the people that have more experience than me and I can reach out to and ask them questions, or even if it's not a question legally related, like, when you get in a headspace where something is just heavy, because a lot of this shit is heavy shit. It's good to be able to have those type of sounding boards. Yeah. So what do I feel like after 6 years? I feel like there's a lot more 6 years is to complete. Many more.
I feel that. I think you're doing all right. You made it here.
Yeah. I did. I made it here. So that's.
You did. You had a nice road trip prior to this place, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I would agree with that. It's been some ups and downs, but more ups than downs. So I'm grateful for that, for sure.
How does your family feel about you in this path you're on?
They support it. In the very beginning, my dad did not understand what I was doing as far as like starting my own law firm and stuff, because he just didn't think that I was going to be able to like make money and be successful. Like in his mind, he was like, you got to go work for a law firm. And then
I was just gonna add, like, does that fall along the lines of an entrepreneurial spirit or a person? Like, yeah, I'm a law firm. But that shit's so like guaranteed though.
It's so not guaranteed. There's a lot of people that just don't get calls and don't like people don't, because that's the thing. And like, I'm not everybody's cup of tea and everyone's not going to be mine. Right. So when you're hiring an attorney, it's got to be someone that you really can trust, you really feel comfortable with. Because this is not a one-day affair. This is not like going on a date for one day. You're going to have to deal with me for a very long time. A case goes on for months and months and months. So we're going to have to be in constant contact with one another. And we're going to have long hours of sit-down to review evidence and talk about trial strategy and prep you if you're taking the stand. And, whatever needs to be done. Like, there is so much preparation that goes into this that level of, even beyond comfortability, like baseline, like I have to like you, you have to like me. We have to be able to be agreeable and amenable to one another, where we can sit in a room and I am not pissed off by your entire being and you're not pissed off by mine, because that is at a very baseline has to be a thing.
Because I can only imagine when you take on a case and then you hear this stuff and you're like,
yeah, because that's why it's always best when your client, before you take on their case, tells you the truth. So that by the time I start learning things, my mind is not like, what the you told me this. What is this? Like, this ain't got nothing to do with what you told me.
That part.
Like, I don't want to be confused. And then, that leads to holes in our relationship. And it's good to have a good relationship with your attorney so we can work well together, so we can have success. Well, that's the baseline.
I've learned it in most entrepreneurs. There's always something or someone that they, draw inspiration, or they're motivated to continue moving, or they, at least can debrief. Do you find that a person in your field, is there a sense of, because of the long nights, the long, thought out mindset that you have, the obscure ways you go about collecting information, like you could be all over the place, especially when you're trying to win something that's like your man's. Does having somebody around the house, around the person that's like this, help that? Does it help to more or less? when most entrepreneurs I know get involved, there's the significant person that's surrounding them generally does not give one about what they do, and they help in little to no form until they start seeing, oh man, you're making strides. The phone calls are coming in. Their cases are wins are up. You're all on TV and shit. Now it's all good. Are entrepreneurs in your lane like that to come out? Is it beneficial to be able to have support this immediate, or is it like you got to be able to be on your own with this for a minute? You can't have nobody else to focus on other than your craft. It's like a football player.
I think, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's different strokes for different folks, right? Like, it depends. But
Yeah.
for me, I know that, me personally, I know that I built my brand myself. I know that this is my blood, sweat, and tears that went into this. This was my figuring out, like, how to put my name out there, figuring out how to put my work out there, providing the best work that I can for every client, giving every client 100% of my attention when I'm sitting there with them, making sure that they feel heard on every level. Like, that's not a thing that anybody can teach you or anyone can help aid in. So for me personally, I don't think it's helpful or hurtful for me to have someone around that gives a shit about the work or doesn't. Like, it doesn't make me a difference. But I mean, I do have many mentors, like I said, that have guided and helped mold me throughout my career that I rely on. Many people have thought that some of the ways that I've went about doing certain things are different because some of my mentors are not, well, none of my mentors are like me, right? Like, they're very much like older people that have been doing this forever. So when I first started doing this and was like on social media and just like, marketing myself and doing things, like, I was being funny, I was being silly, because even though it's a very serious job, like, we got to find humor in stuff.
True that.
If you don't find any humor in it, like, you're not going to find it enjoyable. Like, you got to be able to laugh about this shit the same way I'm going to laugh about it. Like, we going to get serious when it's time to get serious, but we going to make some jokes and laugh.
Have you had a high-profile type of person that you've been able to work with? Or, like, I don't know if it's a good thing to work with, motherfucker, with high-profile, but,
like an attorney or a client?
Has a client been, like, high-end? You ever had celebrity clients?
I've had many celebrity clients.
Who you worked with before?
I can't. I definitely can't drop their names.
All right, I'm mad at you.
But, I had the last case I worked on, well, not the last case I worked on, but over the summer, there was a case that was out, and it was all over everywhere. Bolanos, the Michael Jackson Bolanos trial.
Bolanos, yeah.
So
I don't know the trial in its entirety, but from what I skimmed through and seen out of that, you had a despair in there that led you to believe that this was a part of the whole, this is a wrong conviction thing. With him having his trial come to an end like that, does that put you in a position to now strongly advocate for wrongful convictions?
Every case that happens where an outcome is wrong always has me advocating for wrongful conviction. I'm never going to stop. Like, that is, again, being locked up, being caged is already such a shitty feeling. Like, I don't even like putting my dogs in their crate and shutting the door, right?
Man,
like, I don't like doing that. So to do that to a human being, to me, is, and to wrongfully do it to a person, oh no. Like, that will never sit right with me. That's the craziest thing that can ever happen to someone.
I always hear the stories, man. I watch the Tubies and all that, man. And, you see some of these cases, man, where kids or people get wrongfully done and end up in a worse scenario, can't get the trial till 4 or 5 motherfucking years or even months. And then something inside this, the jail happens to them. Do you feel like the system fails people when those types of things arise? Or you're waiting on this case that you've been wrongfully convicted, but you in there and now you done caught a charge in there because you done got caught up in this shit because it just happens in here.
I personally feel like the system in totality needs to be torn down and rebuilt. I think that it is absolutely archaic in its form. I think it's punitive. I don't think it's rehabilitative. I don't think it serves the purpose that we, for whatever reason, decided that it's intended to serve. I don't see how, if we're saying that we are taking all of these quote unquote bad people, people that just can't operate within society in a peaceful or civil way, right? That's what society is saying about these people.
Right.
And we're taking them all and we're putting them in a facility where they have nothing to do all day for the most part, and they're just surrounding themselves amongst each other for whatever their period of time is, right? And then we're just like, all right, cool. Now you've served this amount of time. Here, go back out into society. Go prosper. What in the fuck about that makes any sense to think? What that time that they did nothing with, they developed no further, like, and yeah, they're like, prisons have programs and blah, blah, blah. Let's be real. It's all, there's limitations on everything. When we have freedom, we take it so for granted because the amount of things that we are able to experience, we can put ourselves into and give ourselves experience, and we can open our brains to be curious about a multitude of things. You do not get those same things when you are incarcerated. That is not a thing. So there is nothing about this system that is functioning in any sort of productive way. It is absolutely the demise of our society, and we should see it as such. If we think that just caging a person, if we do not think that change is possible for an individual, then we as a society have already failed.
But what do you feel when you got people who deserve to be in there, like motherfuckers who went in Sandy Spring this bitch, or you got motherfuckers that that's really fucked up?
And for those cases, there should be, even for that, yes, should you be imprisoned? Absolutely. But does your brain stop functioning? No, your body is still living. There should be something. I don't know what that is. I would have to do quite a bit more research and probably speak to like psychiatrists and psychologists to figure out what is it about that person's brain that led them to do something like Sandy Hook. Where is that imbalance? And once you isolate them and put them somewhere, what is it that we're going to do to fixate our resources onto this individual to try to recalculate their brain? Not to say that we should let them back out or whatever, but shouldn't we at least try to save that life in a way that even if they're operating within the confines of incarceration, they should still have a life that feels productive to some degree? To sit in a cell and just stay there until you die is just so... What is the point of that?
Okay, but let me spin a little bit.
Sure.
You're in there. You've been accused and you've been convicted of murdering someone like your mother.
Okay.
What the fuck are you going to rehabilitate there?
How old were you when you were accused of this?
Well, the accused happened, and I don't know, the motherfucker was old enough to go to a full trial. That's about 14. If they kill somebody at 14, they go in jail for full situations at that age. So, I mean, as an adult, a mature adult, you know, at whatever age it might be, but a mature adult, he does such a thing like that. You know?
Cool. What was the reason that he killed his mom?
Shit, I don't know.
Right.
Let's talk about the damn boys, like the Menendez brothers or something like that.
Yeah, did you see the other stuff that came out about the Menendez brothers? Yeah, if you were getting
I know,
raped by your dad, like, I think that you would have a reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? And my point is, it is so important to, as soon as someone has been convicted of something, right? Or even charged prior to a conviction, if you're charged with something, you have to look at all the facts and circumstances that surround what that charge is. And then even once we get past that stage, let's say that they are convicted, you can't just write them off and be like, okay, because who's to say the jury didn't get it wrong? Who's to say that person, there was a reason for why whatever happened, but maybe there was a reason the jury didn't hear about it. Maybe the jury did hear about it, but they heard about a piece of it. Maybe the jury didn't hear about the whole thing. Maybe the jury didn't have all these months and how much ever time to be able to understand this person the way that the attorney did, where it's like, there's so many layers to this. Like, we can't, okay. So my thing is, even if that person is going to be incarcerated for the rest of their life, to allow a living human being to just live within the confines of a cell or inside of a system where there's nothing productive happening in that system, there's nothing to generate new thoughts, new growth, new curiosity, then that's just a dying brain sitting there doing nothing. That's not productive. Like, and we as human beings should be a little bit more in tune. I'm not saying like, oh, sympathize for like the Columbine kid. Like, oh yeah, that's so, no, I'm saying, yeah, okay, put him there. But once he's there, what are you going to do with him at that point?
What you supposed to do with a cold-blooded killer?
Figure out why, what is that, what makes him a cold-blooded killer and makes me not, or makes you not, or makes him not, right?
But
Is
then
there
you-
something that wasn't tapped into with this person? Like, is there some sort of psychological thing that could be tapped into? Because if you look at, I think it's like Switzerland or Norway, I don't know. Don't quote me on the place, right? There's some country that has absolutely like the most gentle prison system, even for the most heinous of crimes, where their rates of recidivism are so low. I don't even know what the rate of recidivism is there, but they did a whole like 60-minute special on it like way back when, and I watched it and I
seen
like
some work on
researched
that,
it.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the best look at a prison system that we should be trying to mirror something like that, where you're not just like stripping a person of all of their humanity. You're acknowledging the fact that they did something, and probably terrible, could be terrible, may be terrible, but then you're doing something to further work on that. You're doing something to still continue to establish better or change.
I agree to your side and your point of view for it. But the side of a mind that has lived in a free world, that has lived where they've used moral value, they've walked with a moral compass, and then tragedy upon them. You get some people that are, I forgive the person that killed my parent or friend or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then you got those who like, you killed somebody, you killed my parent, man, I don't want you to ever live again. I should be able to F you off real fast right now. Like, they want the immediate gratification of, you killed mine, it's an eye for an eye, and the only way I can get that eye is through the justice system. So for you to sit down in the cell hole, I want you to feel the black hole that you put my family member through or a friend through and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a challenge to hear that you do see that there should be some sort of rehabilitation. But to those who have experienced that heinous act on them, that ultimate decision that you chose life over my, God, or so whoever your creator may be to you, but the person who took that in their hands, it's a hard thing to try to figure out what kind of system can be in place for that person who created that. But then the moral compass in a free-minded spirit person says, but what if this was an accident that happened, like a person who decided to have one too many of these and they drunk and then they killed somebody, right?
Right.
They weren't a bad person, but they just had a bunch of these that night that we had a good time.
Right. And that, to your point, is what I'm saying that we should be differentiating. Like, if we're talking about like a Jeffrey Dahmer, like, yeah, for sure. Crazy, right? Put him somewhere. But even while he's wherever he is, like, okay, so that guy's absolutely, I don't think anyone's going to argue that Jeffrey Dahmer for sure crazy as hell, right? We all saw that. Like, that guy is off his rocker, right? For sure. Like, needs to go to prison, needs to be there forever, shouldn't come out. Grown-ass man just continuously, like, serial killing everybody. Crazy. Put him there, and then we have people that have jobs to figure out people's heads or whatever, right? Perhaps if they use him as the guinea pig and they start trying to figure out what went wrong with this guy, put stuff up to his brain, I'm not a science medical person. I don't know what you need to do. Get in there and figure it out. And then once he's gone and perhaps whatever information you've garnered and learned, you can apply it to anybody else that seems to repeat that. Like, everything should be a learning process. Like, we can't just take what we consider to be the worst people and just lock them up and be like, all right, cool. That's like, or I guess we can, because that's what we're doing. But I don't know. I just feel like we should be doing more.
So, if you're defending Jeffrey Dahmer,
Oh, yeah,
here it goes. You
Yeah.
know he did it.
yeah,
He's basically saying I did it. It's all out there.
yeah.
What is your angle? Is
Make-
it to give him less time? I guess in a better facility. What is your angle for someone like that, where you know he's guilty, but he hired me, I have a job to do? What is your angle for defending him?
So,
Because I think, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think like a lot of people see cases and they automatically like hate the lawyer that's defending the person.
correct.
And it's like, well, I have a job to do, and he still has that right to have a lawyer. So what's your angle coming off someone that's, yeah, we know he's guilty, et cetera, et cetera?
So the angle at that point is like, you obviously know that there's no ground of integrity with which to give this guy a defense that's going to get off of anything. Like, and it shouldn't be, right? But at that point, the job then becomes making sure that his rights are not trampled upon. You have certain basic constitutional rights that cannot be violated throughout the entirety of your case. My job is to make sure that the state does not violate those rights while handling your matter.
That's strong, because, again, if I'm looking at Jeffrey Dahmer, motherfucker, give me the bullet. I'm going to put it in the gun. I'm going to shoot it in the courtroom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, and yeah, there's cases that I don't think that there would be a defense attorney walking the face of this earth that would say that they have had a case where they felt that way, where they were like, all right, I got my job here is to just make sure that your rights are not violated, because there's not much more that can be done with you, whoever you may be.
Right on. Listen here, folks, man, we chopping it in, man, chopping it all the way up with Purna, my Detroit lawyer. We got Chino in the building, man. And boy, you know, Mr. Ray Bands that nerd from the bar. Shout out to Big Trust and Big Scoop. we gotta cut this one a little smooth, man. We're gonna get back here in a second, man, so Purna can give her little pieces and buys and whatnot, man. This has been very enjoyable for me, needless to say. But we'll be right back, man. It's your man's Ray Bands.
You should really stop that. You ain't really popping Texas. Thing it up and take it back. Trife. I'm sitting there posted, I'm chilling, I'm kicking it all in the back of the bus. I'm waiting my turn till it's my time to roll up the game, smoke it and watch that bitch burn. Maybe the ones that diss me, you learn. Been a visionary, nerfing the burbs, taking off in every sense of the word. Getting into the bag, all about work. Fuck all that honey love. I just need more than dessert. I got the key, but the lock don't work. Don't trip, I ain't popular. TikTok, they 4 figures. That's one day that go get her. Can't fuck with them, they only fans. I'm the one and only Ray Ban. Trying to top that, you gon' run into a lot of cap. Just relax and step back. You don't know who got a strap. Wild ones, they running packs. They be setting up the trap. Don't slack, all facts. Slaves hungry, want a snack. Person codeine, told you when the zombies. Only be waiting vaccines so we can see you lying through your teeth. Trying to top that, you should really stop that. You ain't really popping Texas. Think it up and take it back.
All right, everybody, man. It's your man's Ray Bands that nerd from the bar. We backsliding into the mix of things. We had some off the air conversation and topic, so we're just gonna get a little quick one in before we let this beautiful guest of ours take off here. But we spoke on a case proceeding and something that would happen, but you know we kind of created it here. But we want to hear from Miss My Detroit lawyer how you would give us an opening argument for a particular case that, you know, it's a high profile, I should say, or just you got a client now that comes across to you and they're in those circumstances that we discuss. I'd like to hear your best opening argument to address the jury and to get them on your side.
Okay, you want me to go?
Yeah, you go ahead, go for
Okay.
it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I first and foremost want to thank you all for being seated and impaneled on this jury. And we're going to just get right down to brass tacks here. David did die, and you all heard the prosecutor say that David died, and you heard the prosecutor say that Jim killed David, and that's true. Jim did kill David. But what you did not hear is why Jim killed David. Self-defense is something that you all were asked a lot about throughout the voir dire process. And during that process, we heard a lot of you say that you believe in self-defense. So I want you to take that self-defense theory that we discussed, and I want you to think about what the evidence in this case is going to show. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the evidence in this case is going to show that David came... Wait, who were these people's names? David and Jim?
Yeah.
I don't know. David is the dead person. Guys, this is all off the top of my head, so I don't know these people. David and Jim. Okay, Jim's my client. So David came at Jim. David came over to Jim's house. They were family. They knew each other. The evidence is going to show that they had a well-established relationship with one another. They always got along. But that particular night, they were drinking. They were partying a little too hard. And the evidence will show that David ended up pulling a gun on Jim. And in that moment, Jim had nothing else that he could do but pull his gun out and fire first. It became his life versus David's life. And the evidence will show that. And yes, after the fact, Jim got nervous and he ended up leaving because he didn't know what to do. You guys are going to have an opportunity when I come back at close, and I'm going to ask you to put yourself in Jim's shoes. And this is a terrible. Just doing this.
You killing it though, because I'm sitting there
terrible.
like
I'm forgetting their names.
I'm jury. Hey, that's understandable.
Like, this is like the.
It's all factual, folks, but you gotta understand what's taking.
I'm combining this into an opening statement and a closing because I now just want to close on it and be like, "Come back, not guilty." Okay, so I had like 3 seconds to prepare this. So basically, the evidence is going to show that you will see the evidence talk about the ballistics, and you will see that David had a gun on him. You will see that in evidence. And you will see that David was notorious for carrying his gun on him. And you will come to learn that Jim knew that David always had a gun on him. The evidence will show that David presented himself to Jim in a position where Jim had nothing else that he could do. There was nowhere he could go. There was nothing he could do to get away from that situation. It was his life or David's. And he did what a lot of us would do, and he chose his life. That is a weird opening because it's kind of closey, but with 3 seconds to prepare, I would go with something like that.
Hey, man, that's exclusive, y'all, man. That's $100.
I'm forgetting their names. I'm like, was it David and Jim? Like, I don't know what I'm doing with names.
Well, look, man, we do these types of things to kind of discover about people. You know, if you're excited or passionate about what it is that you do and that you've honed your skills in, you're always ready to perform, you know. And you did just that. You know, we took a situation. And I just wanted to hear, you know, the type of person that goes to battle, the woman that takes charge. So for listeners, you know, who caught that, hopefully you guys could say to yourself, if you was in the jury, that, you know, this would have been an opening argument that would have had you open your mind up to the possibilities that maybe something did cause this that was unforeseen, or, you know, maybe this person led that final decision because of fear or because of a position of life. You know, it's that threatening. So you never know, but that's why you hire, you know, my Detroit lawyer, because, you know, she's going to fucking get to the bottom of this shit. Okay?
I will. I will.
Gino, man, you had something. I almost took it away from you. Couldn't get up. What was you about to ask?
Are we closing or no?
Oh, yeah, man. It's definitely a closing thing, man.
So my closing is, who is my Detroit lawyer?
I am the lawyer that's going to fight hard for you. I'm the lawyer that cares. I'm not the lawyer that's just trying to take all your money and run off and not care about you or your facts or your case. I can't make you any guarantees, but at the end of the day, the only thing I can guarantee you is I'm going to show up, I'm going to show out, I'm going to give my best fight, and I can guarantee you that you will be happy that you hired me, because you'll know that I cared from the very beginning until the very, very end.
Gotta love that, man. Miss Purna, my Detroit lawyer, man. Is there anybody that you would like to take the time to acknowledge in this moment?
I would acknowledge every single person who has been a mentor to me. There are so many people that I know whose names I will forget. Shout out to everyone, all my clients, just every single person, everybody.
That's what's up, man. One time for Miss Purna, man. She just made it out here, man, to, you know, tap in with the boys over at Zone Talk, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
No, we appreciate you for being considerate of us, man. It's wintertime, and you know how that gets for people in Michigan, man. They don't want to move. They stuck in their homes.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I definitely want to hear more from you, and I would like to be able to follow up on some of your work.
Sure.
I think that I think now that if I find myself dealing with something, that at least I can call someone or at least reach out to someone like you, and you know, you could probably point me in the right direction, even if it's not you. That's important, man. You know.
Absolutely.
Definitely, guys. Again, man, you know, we appreciate y'all for tapping in and staying locked with us, man. You know, a lot of things happen, a lot of things don't happen, but we try to do our best to put it out there. It's your man's Ray Bands at Nerve from the Bird. Make sure y'all head over and check us out on the gram. Zone Talk, OurWAY Radio, 586 Ray Bands, SFC Chino, and what's your tag?
My Detroit lawyer.
My Detroit lawyer. Y'all know what it is, man. We in this thing, man. It's been a good one, man. But we'll check y'all out on the fly, man, on the rebound. It's your man's Ray Bands. Next episode.
Call on me, satisfy all your needs. Luxury when you fucking with a G. Hot girl summer, now you fuck nigga free. Let's do something, girl, no frontin' up. You don't have to be alone tonight. All we need is champagne and some candlelight. I know it's simple, but I can't deny. All we need, all we need is champagne and candlelight. Satisfied tonight, I won't leave you alone. Slide candles lately, champagne with a twist. You